about Rolling Meadows Senior Living in Taylorville and the apartments they have available, click on their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across Central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupons by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
And we're back with the WTIM Pana Morning Show with Pana Civic Business and other nonprofit leaders, coming to you from our Taylorville studios. The WTIM Pana Morning Show is brought to you by title sponsors like People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. Alongside them, it's Pizza Man, Noren's Hardware, your Pana Save-A-Lot, and Locked and Loaded Limited. I'm your host, Grayson Bauman, and our guests, I should say, in this segment are Mindy Holthouse and Twyla Baumgartner, both with the Pana Community Hospital. How are you guys today? Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you on here today to talk a little bit about Medicare annual wellness visits and why they're so important, the benefit of them, amongst many other things. Now, as somebody who does not have Medicare currently and shouldn't have it for some time, hopefully, I was wondering, what is roughly a Medicare annual wellness visit, and how does it actually benefit the patient?
So a Medicare annual wellness visit is an annual preventative health check available to Medicare beneficiaries, and it benefits patients by promoting health and disease prevention, and also identifies potential health risks. Twyla, would you add anything to that? Twyla does Medicare well visits at Pana Medical Group. So,
yes, we just we try to get our Medicare patients in here once a year to have these done to benefit each patient.
And with that being said, what would you say is the difference between just something like an annual physical exam or a traditional physical exam, whether that's for students getting ready for school, just going in to make sure that you are well at any course, compared to an annual wellness visit with Medicare?
So I would say that a Medicare wellness visit focuses on prevention and creating a personalized health plan by a detailed review of your medical history, risks, and lifestyle factors. And there's no actual hands-on physical performed, and it is a very nurse-driven exam, meaning that the nurse performs a majority of the exam, and the provider comes in at the end just to, kind of reiterate everything that the nurse has went over, but it's a very nurse-heavy driven exam. Anything you would add to that, Twyla?
And when the provider comes in after we're done with all of our questions, and if they have any questions for the provider, they can ask the provider at that time. If they have to address anything else, we can always make a follow-up appointment for that.
And a physical exam is an actual hands-on exam based on what your current health status is, and it is performed by a provider, whether that be a nurse practitioner, a physician, medical provider is who would perform that, and it's more like a head-to-toe exam. Listen to your lungs, they're actually going to physically touch you, whereas that's not what this is.
Well, thank you for kind of explaining the difference between the two. My next question for you then would be, so what kind of screenings and services then are potentially provided during a Medicare annual wellness visit?
So the type of tests and screenings provided vary by patient and what they're eligible for at the time, but they can include a AAA screen, which is to check for abdominal aortic aneurysms, EKGs to test for any heart abnormalities, bone density to see if you have a risk for fractures or what your bones are doing, especially important in women. Mammograms to detect breast cancer, a PSA, which helps screen for prostate cancer. Pneumonia vaccines are also part of that, which helps patients not get pneumonia or lessen the effects of it if they do. Those are just a few of the different screenings that are available. Anything else you'd add to that, Twyla?
And based on your personal history, like if you're a smoker, they cover some lung cancer screenings. People might not know about these screenings. It's all kind of personalized to their diagnosis or their family history.
Well, I
So
think
there's
that
different options for colon cancer screenings and all of these things that, we gather all that information when the patient is here.
I think that's great, going through the records kind of and being able to kind of check what is maybe additional for that patient, because each patient is different in their many regards. With that, is the cost, or is there any cost associated with it? It seems like a slew of tests. It seems like a long visit from the sounds of things for, based on person to person. Is there any cost that is associated with this type of visit?
There's typically no cost associated with Medicare approved preventative tests and screenings. So the goal of this is obviously to be of no cost to the patients, because you want it to be a benefit for them. So
And with that being said, it's once a year. You're making sure that everything is good to go. If somebody came in for a second time, and I don't know if it would be the same type of visit, is that something that they are able to do but cost is associated, or is that something that would have to be recommended to them? How does it work if somebody feels like it's maybe been 8 months since their last checkup, and that they maybe want to get back into the office?
So they can still come back in at any time, but it will obviously be a different type of visit. So it would have costs associated with it, just depending on what your particular Medicare benefit is, and if you have a secondary, and so on and so forth. Because the actual Medicare annual wellness visit is only covered once a year. There's a welcome to Medicare visit, at age 65, and then after that is the annual wellness visit.
Okay, and thank you for explaining that for me here and for listeners out there. And again, we are joined by Mindy Holthouse and Twyla Bumgarner, both with the Pana Community Hospital, and they are talking about Medicare annual wellness visits. And my next question for you would be, is there anything a patient needs to do to prepare for this type of visit?
Yeah, the biggest thing that patients need to do is bring a list of their doctors and specialists. We want to make sure that we have a list of all the doctors that they're seeing and that it's up to date, because your primary care provider is kind of the gatekeeper of all your information. So we want to make sure that we have that list up to date. And additionally, they need to bring in a current medication list, as well as their pill bottles, so we can make sure that everything lines up with what we have in their medication list, what the electronic medical record states, all of those things. So we want to make sure everything is up to date and accurate. Anything else that you?
Sometimes it's helpful to think about things ahead of time, like past surgeries, family history that you might not be able to come up with on the spur of the moment when you're in here. So I kind of like to tell people to write those things down, any significant family history that you have or know about, those type of things.
So it almost sounds like the more information, the better, in terms of just making sure that everything that we have is good to go on our end and matches with what you have and what you're actually doing at this very moment. And so with that being said, how often, we kind of touched on that a little bit, but how often they aren't available for this, that is just going to be that once a year time frame, and with that, in terms of the annual wellness visit?
Yep, that's correct. And just to add, the other thing that we like people to think about, to the previous question, is whether or not they have a living will or advance directives, and having copies of those things in their charts as well. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. But yes, this is eligible every year, and we very much, encourage our patients to have these done.
A living will, wouldn't have even thought about that, or and who kind of I'm trying to think, not the authority, but your representative. I'm completely blanking on the word, the advocate. I can think about 100 others that aren't going to be the right word. But Mindy and Twyla, we are just about at the 10-minute mark. I want to thank you guys for joining me here in this first segment. We'll be back around with the second segment to talk more about Medicare annual wellness visits and the involvement that these two have in them on the WTIM Pana Morning Show, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville, Pizza Man, Noren's Hardware, your Pana Save-A-Lot, and Locked and Loaded Limited. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
This is Nick Epley with People's Bank and Trust, where customers have one business banker who understands their business and provides the right financial services to achieve their financial goals. Your business banker is your single source for all your financial needs, from cash management to lines of credit, from mortgages to equipment loans, and everything in between. Call me at 888-PBT-1954. Bank with People's Bank and Trust so you can spend your time running your business, not explaining it. At People's Bank and Trust, we put people first. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Big deals for the big game this week at your locally owned Pana Save-A-Lot. This is Patrick and Jalen here throwing you the deal.
Bone and assorted pork chops $1.69 a pound.
USDA Choice Boneless Rump Roast $5.49 a pound.
100-count bags of Totino's Pizza Rolls $8.99.
Red Baron Pizzas $3.99.
Heads of lettuce only 99 cents.
Tostitos Tortilla Chips or Dips 2 for $6.
And 12-pack cans of Pepsi products 2 for $11.
These prices are good through Tuesday, February 11th at your locally owned Pana Save-A-Lot.
Hope to see you soon.
Dinner time just got easier with Pizza Man of Pana. Enjoy great food that includes amazing pizza, tasty pasta, salad bar, and chili. On Monday nights, enjoy the spaghetti special with garlic bread and a side salad for $8. On Tuesday nights, come in for the lasagna special with garlic bread and a side salad for $9. On Wednesday nights, grab yourself an individual pizza and side salad for $9. Pizza Man of Pana is proud to be serving Pana and the surrounding areas with great Italian food since 1985.
WTIM, your information station, will be traveling to the Shelbyville Police and Fire Stations during February, broadcasting our morning show live. It's a way to say thank you to our courageous men and women that serve our local communities to keep us safe and protected. Be listening throughout February for these live broadcasts from the Shelbyville Police and Fire Stations as our WTIM morning show goes on the road visiting with our first responders. Our WTIM Morning Show First Responder live broadcasts are brought to you by these sponsors. McCary Service Center in Shelbyville. They are giving our police and fire departments a big pat on the back for their selfless service to our community. And Shelbyville Manor and Hawthorne Inn in Shelbyville. Bounce back, rehab, and recover. Thank you to the Shelbyville Police and Fire Departments for being there when we need you.
Pastor Brian Moore here from Locust Grove Church near Assumption. We are alive and so worth the drive. Find directions to our church and watch our video podcast by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Agriculture is our largest industry. Your agriculture information station is WTIM, AM, FM, and online. Tune in or stream WTIM's over 8 hours a day of ag information featuring our local farm broadcaster to be in the know.
WTIM.
Back around with the WTIM Pana Morning Show, brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. Joining them today, it's Pizza Man, Noren's Hardware, your Pana Save-A-Lot, and Locked and Loaded Limited. I'm Grayson Bauman, and our guests in this segment are Mindy Holthouse and Twyla Bumgardner, Director of Care Coordination, as well as Medical Wellness Nurse with the Pana Community Hospital. Hopefully I did not butcher those titles for the both of you. I sure hope not, at least. But we've been talking about Medicare annual wellness visits and things of that nature. And my question for you would be, if something came up during that visit that was unknown prior to said visit, are patients able to schedule additional screenings or services, or maybe are they even able to do so during that exact same visit?
So during the visit, there's kind of a set amount of, or set screenings that Medicare says that you're eligible for and approves. However, so say you have a mammogram and that shows that you need additional testing based on the mammogram, then obviously then those tests would get, ordered as they needed to, and those would then be approved by Medicare as well. So initially the screening would be approved, and then if anything else needs addressed, then those tests or screenings or whatever needs to be ordered based on the findings would also get ordered as well, but they wouldn't be part of that visit necessarily. Does that make sense?
It does, but that is great to know too that, okay, yes, we found something during the medical or the Medicare annual wellness visit. This is what it is. This is what we think needs to be done in terms of the testing for it. And then that is covered. I'm sure that kind of takes a lot of a lot of the worry and kind of eases patients in terms of what will and what won't be covered.
Right. And that's obviously what we want as well. We want it to be as thorough and accurate as possible. And if there are any, abnormal findings, then we want to make sure all of those are addressed as well.
Most definitely. And we brought this up just a little bit in certain ways, but if somebody has an existing health concern that they already know about, is that something that should be addressed during that visit? Is that something they should bring up to the doctor or the person providing care?
Well, it's definitely something that you can ask about, but if it's something new or something that's not necessarily a chronic condition, or you're having pain that day, that's not necessarily the time to bring those up. But if you have concerns about your diabetes, say, and your blood sugars, or something with like your monitor's not working, or something like that, then that would be the time to bring those things up. It's not necessarily the time to say, well, my hip's been hurting for the last 2 days. It's more of these are my chronic conditions. I've been keeping an eye on my blood pressure at home, and I've been noticing it's been a little higher lately. Like, so we take your blood pressure and see what we find here. And if there is something abnormal from that visit, then your provider will know about that.
Okay. And so if it's an existing condition or something that they know about, then it is, feel free to bring it up. But let's say it's a new concern. Does the patient then run the risk of being billed for drawing concern to that additional problem that they might be having?
No, what we would do, I have that happen a lot when I do a Medicare wellness visit, because it brings things to the surface. We're talking about their health, and, it kind of reminds them, I've been having this problem. We make a lot of follow-up appointments from that Medicare wellness visit if they need to address something in particular.
Okay.
So before they leave, if they need to address something, we will make a follow-up appointment for that specific problem.
Okay. That is great to know then as well, because, I think for a lot of these folks, some of them are living off Social Security or other things. So that is great to know that, okay, hey, we will still address your concern, but we'll have to do so at a later date. Don't think I'm not listening to you. Don't think I don't care about what you just told me, but we've got to address it at a different time, because this is what we are allotted to do based on what you are approved to do. So thank you for also kind of providing clarification for myself and those out there as well. I think both of you could probably speak to this next question. And why is this so important for seniors to actually take advantage of their Medicare benefits yearly with these visits?
So I think that they are an excellent way to identify potential risks, health concerns, and to make sure you're taking your medications appropriately, to make sure you're staying healthy, and just identifying even risks at home that you may not even have realized, because those are also things that are discussed. What else would you add to that, Twyla?
So another important part of the Medicare wellness visit is a lot of people, as they get older, see multiple doctors and they go to multiple specialists, and they don't always remember what that specialist told them. For example, if they had a colonoscopy, I run into this a lot. It may have been 3 years ago. They may think, I need to do that every 10 years. We pull those records. We make sure that we find out where they had it. I get the result faxed here, because we don't always get those records from other providers. And many times it's not what the patient thinks they were supposed to do. Maybe they were supposed to follow up in 2 years and they thought it was 10, or, they don't remember exactly what the follow-up was supposed to be. So we pull diagnosis from other, if they've been to an ER somewhere else, we pull all those things that had been found in the past into their chart. Then we can question, hey, what did you find out about, this test that you had last year, 2 years ago, or this specialist that you went to? And then we make sure that something didn't get missed or needs followed up on, that the patient doesn't remember.
Yeah, well, perfect. We are out of time, but thank you for breaking everything down with these Medicare annual wellness visits. Again, Mindy Holthouse and Twyla Baumgartner with Pana Community Hospital on the WTIM Pana Morning Show.
Of education. A federal judge accusing the Trump administration of ignoring his order to release all federal funding to the states. U.S. District Judge John McConnell again ordering immediate compliance. A wintry mess heading into the mid-Atlantic region today, with forecast for heavy snow and ice, prompting warnings of potential power outages and a dicey situation on the roads. Stocks lower this morning. The Dow down 63 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote.
Call 800-498-2843. 800-498-2843. 800-498-2843.
With SRN Sports, I'm George Williams. In NBA action last night, Luka Doncic makes his debut with his new team, the LA Lakers, scoring 14 points in limited playing time alongside LeBron James and company. The Lakers defeating the Jazz 132-113. LA currently running fourth in the NBA West, 10.5 games back of the conference leading Thunder. The Thunder played last night, defeating the Pelicans.
WTIM.
This is Grayson Bauman reporting. Student Council serves as a school's planning committee, their school spirit, and bring fun for students and staff to enjoy. Have you heard of a student council that shares their love for coffee with their classmates? Well, that's just one of many roles the student council fills when it comes to Morrisonville High School. Callie Beeler and Aaliyah Wagahoft, student council members, joined by sponsor Mrs. Frisbee, sat down to discuss all that the student council is working towards. Beeler starts by sharing some of the events and activities being done at Morrisonville High. Wagahoft then describes what the Morrisonville High School Homecoming Week and its scheduling looks like from their vantage.